I got another kind of interesting topic. This is actually inspired, the whole video is inspired by one person's comment on the video that I posted about philosophy, kind of like how to solo over any chords or anything that you hear, you know, that whole philosophy thing. In that, I just started playing a random chord progression and like started soloing over it. And somebody in the comments was like, how do you know how to do that so quickly? And everything that I've shown you guys up to this point, both in philosophy and discussions and in like actual literal chord charts and scales, I realize is kind of building up to this skill that we haven't talked about yet, and that is like how to in real time find where something is, or how do you even know what key you're in, right? And I think if you're starting out, you don't really need to know theory, so I just want to show you like how I learned how to find where I was, and I use the pentatonic as like my litmus test, or my whatever word you want to use, my compass, my astrolabe, my GPS. It's my musical GPS. It helps me figure out what is happening, and helps me figure out if I'm in major or minor, and usually what key I'm in. And so I can show you that process. I might crash and burn live on camera, and I probably won't edit this, but I think it's important to show that process. So first and foremost, we just need to make a chord progression, and I need to loop it. And we just need to literally make one up on the spot. So, I don't know, I'm literally just going to mess around for a second and find something. I want it to be like rambly enough where it's not just like 3 chords, but I also want to throw in some chords that maybe aren't super obvious, so it's not like or something. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Something else that I need to say real quick is I'm playing my SG, which has been converted to like a baritone guitar. It's just in B standard tuning, just to show you that you don't need to follow along exactly with me. I'm just showing you the concept of how I find stuff. So the fact that I'm playing differently than you guys on purpose is by design. And I do realize that I have fret markers on this guitar, but it's a baritone, so that's why I usually don't, or it's in a baritone range, that's why I don't usually do lessons with it. But I just made up a random progression, and I'll loop it here. And then I will talk about the actual process to find where the heck we are, the important part of this lesson. So I always use, hold on a second. I always use the pentatonic to kind of find where I'm at. So if I literally didn't know where I was at, just kind of, I'm going to use the top E string or the top string for me, to find a note that sounds like it's in, that might work with the pentatonic. Okay, found it. So, do you hear that? You should all know that sound, right? It's the pentatonic sound. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, then you should be able to understand that the note that we found that sounds like it's the tonic, the one of the whole thing. I mean, listen. It's working over the whole thing. Mostly. Because we found this note and we can play the pentatonic going down from it, we know that this is like a major pentatonic. And because we know that, then we know that this major chord will work on top. So boom. I think this is an E for you guys, but it's a B for me on here. I know what key I'm in. I sound flat. So that was kind of like the whole process. It's really, to me, it's that simple. You find what note is at the top of your pentatonic, and if it works going down from that note, you're in major pentatonic. And if it works going up, then it would be minor pentatonic. And because it works going down from this note, you can play a major chord there, and that's usually the key that you're in. If you were playing up from that note, then you'd play a minor chord right there, and you'd be in that minor key. But here, so I mean, that's really the distillation of that process. For me, you can just do it by listening and using that one shape to find if you're in major or minor. And if you know the top string, the note on your top string, then you can find the tonic and be like, I'm in this key, and it's either it's either major or minor. I think that's like the very beginning of that process. Like, this is how beginners should find what key they're in or how to solo over something. I know this guitar is like a little weird on the tuning. It sounds a little out of tune, but I can show you once I actually start to play lead over it, it should work. So, I mean, I always talk about it too, like, knowing the actual chord progression is important and learning it, because I'm just playing pentatonic over it, which doesn't sound great because I'm not servicing the chords. I think to really solo, you have to combine using the pentatonic or a modal scale, and then know the chords so that you can play chord tones and really service it. But this is a very quick, easy way to find, at least the pentatonic that you can solo over something and learn its key. And the more complex the chords are, the more that you need to understand the harmony to really service it. But if it's a simple song, with only a couple chords, then this should work pretty well and get you pretty dang close. Let me do it not with a baritone. Let me do my normal guitar, my Strat. And I can talk about the literal chords that I played in that video at the end and kind of describe that same process, right? Or I could very briefly also show you like how what I just did works with minor, Or I could literally do something that's just straight up minor. Alright, I just picked a random key. Alright, so I'm going to find... To me, that sounds like the one. Right? Okay, there's the pentatonic. Right, I'm in the brain, I'm using the brain of a beginner right now. Okay, that sounds like it works. So because it works, now I can be like, alright, I'm at the B flat and I'm going up from it. So I'm probably in minor, and because I can do that shape and go up from the pentatonic equator, I can play a minor chord. Alright, I'm in B flat minor, most likely. Right? There it is as a minor philosophy. And the more simple the chord progression, the more just doing a pentatonic, you know, really works over the progression. Okay, anywho. So the chords that I played at the end of that other video. This is a minor 9. It's an E flat minor 9. This is like how would I describe this? This is like a flat with a 6 and then an A sharp in the bass. Which is why I'm trying to tell you guys it's not super important, but here's a complex chord. So I'm doing a minor 9 to this chord, and then I'm ending on this, which is like an A flat with a 4 in it. But my point in this video, right, is you don't need to know what the complex chords are. Let me loop this real quick. The philosophy that I was talking about still works. So we're going down from that note on the pentatonic equator. We're most likely in C sharp major. There we go. I think if you're like, how do you know where that 1 is? I think it's just experience. I've trained my ear to kind of hear the pentatonic shape everywhere. So as soon as I start seeing any of those patterns, you know, I have enough experience where I can go beyond just the first position. You know, if I hear any position that I recognize, I kind of instantly know where I am within the pentatonic, but I still have to find the pentatonic in the right scale, no matter what inversion or, you know, position I start from. Then I would, like, for me, I'd be done right there. I'd be like, all right, I know what key I'm in, because I found the first possible place that it sounds musical within this context and how it fits into the pentatonic. But this was the very first thing I ever learned, and so because I know where that is, I'm like, boom, C sharp major. And so the person that was commenting wasn't asking me like, how do I solo, like feeling or phrasing or anything like that. I think they just want to know, like, how do I instantly find something even when I don't know what the chords are, or if the chords are more complex. In this case, I'm not changing keys, right? That's a whole other kind of echelon of music, in my opinion. But, you know, some of those kind of key philosophies still stay the same. I think an easy way, you know, if you have complex chords, to start learning how to play over non-diatonic or modal music, so music that changes keys, is just start simple. I like this chord. If I'm going from top to bottom, from E string down to the A string, We can choose something that's more simple. Let's do like the 7th fret. So bar the 7th fret. So 7, 8, 7, 10, 7. It's like a major 9 chord. There's different names for it. I love this chord. Try taking something like this and shift it down like a minor 3rd. Or take that chord, shift it down a major 3rd. Or do both. I'm gonna loop it. Okay, I'm always going to start with that same philosophy, right? Where the heck are we? Whoa, right? Instantly doesn't sound right because we're changing keys. You got to find when you're in this key, this chord. I'm going to wait for it to come back around, right? There's the pentatonic and it works, and I'm going down from this note, so I know that first chord, I'm G major. It works, right? And because I'm moving the shape down, usually, in this case, this is an easy non-diatonic lesson I'm giving you guys, but because we're in G and we're moving down a minor 3rd, if I move down a minor 3rd from G to E, that should be the same relationship, right? So I'm taking a chord, moving it down a minor 3rd, I'm taking the key that it's in, moving it down a minor 3rd, it should work, right? So check this out. I gotta wait for that other one to come around because I'm changing keys twice in this loop. So right here. And now I'm going down a major 3rd. I'm just playing pentatonic in these different locations. To me, this is like the very, very beginning of learning how to play over non-diatonic music. You're just taking the pentatonic and you're changing keys with it. That's all you're doing, right? And then this next step would be to add all your modal notes and like understand what mode we're in, right? And then the next step beyond that is using chromaticism and whatnot to start to like voice lead into the next chord. When you play this type of music, you could practice forever because there's so many combinations of notes that you can use. I don't know if you can hear that out there, but anywho, I was saying that there's so many combinations when you're changing keys that it's just a great way to practice, and it just gets more complicated from there. I mean, I'm changing keys with you guys and soloing over complex chords just by changing the key center, but literally just changing the key center. But you know, complex harmony can take so many shapes and forms. You know, a song like Giant Steps. But the ironic thing is, a song like Giant Steps is kind of what I just showed you. It's kind of just changing those key centers. It's just how you navigate through them, and then boom, suddenly you have jazz. But I hope that you understand that the process, you're using the pentatonic equator, you're using your knowledge of the pentatonic shapes, and you're using your ear to just find that first position, so you can be like, all right, this is where I'm at. And then normally you can kind of explore from there and at least have some semblance of a vocabulary in the context of the music that's happening. But that is the general idea. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too rambly. I know I'm going to have to edit this a little bit because... anywho, good luck.